Oh hey you, I know why you're here. You heard everyone talking about the gel method, now you want to swap to the gel base and top coat. Or you've tried it, but it wasn't working very well for you. It's okay, I got you. We will figure this out. Gel is amazing, seriously. The first thing you need to know is gel doesn't work like regular liquids, and if you approach it the same, it can lead to a lot of issues that didn't exist with your regular liquids. The biggest difference is needing an LED light to cure the gel. In the video description, I included information about LED lights and how to choose them. Another big difference is strength. When you see the word base on the gel, you should just assume this means not a lot of strength. If you have ever had a normal gel polish manicure, you know it's not very strong, especially when you're used to the strength from the dipping liquids. However, gel base is best for the powder layers because it's a super thin gel, it leaves a very sticky tacky layer, and it's easy to remove with acetone. But a lot of people, usually with thin nails, may experience this chipping and need some extra strength. They will need to use another product in between their natural nail and the base gel layers, like primer that helps gel bond to your nail, and builder gel that is more like the strength of the dipping liquids, which I will explain better in another video. Let's look at the techniques you can use with base gel to apply just a basic color. This method is likely what you're used to seeing, where you dip it in like regular liquids, or use a brush or scoop to dump the powder on top of it. This makes it thick, but with less strength, because when using gel, adding powder to it does not make it stronger. It makes it weaker. Not to mention that it's very unlikely your gel is getting fully cured. Gel hardens at 40%, and it does this in the first 10 seconds under the light. It's unlikely the light is getting all the way through the powder to cure the way it should be, but it can still seem hard like a full cure, especially with darker colors, as so many of you may have noticed with black powders. I cured this for the recommended time, but as you can see, the center did not cure. Another issue I see a lot is color changing and fading. The acrylic powder in the dip and the gel do not work well together. Clear powder is white until it's cleared, so if you don't cure the clear powder, they will look softer and lighter. And when you add them to uncured gel and cure the gel only, you're holding the powder apart, but they still interact with the gel, but in ways that eventually cause them to lose color, or lighten like a sun bleaching effect. Here's how I stop all of these potential problems and make the buffing process a lot easier too. So I never start out with a full brush. I clean everything off and then I grab a small scoop, short nails even less, and on one end of the brush dab that in the middle. Drag downwards while hovering the product. Smear it to the left, smear it to the right, and down and around. The first layer does not need to go all the way to the edge of your skin. It will be a lot easier to get tight cuticle lines later if you give yourself a bit of space now. Not too much, just a little less than where you really want it to be. Then wipe everything off the nail that you can. Less is better. The gel, in about 5 seconds, is going to level itself out. This is what's called a slip layer. Flip it over, this rounds out the top, and then flash cure it. Now, with gel bases, the tacky layer that is left behind is usually quite thick and sticky. This is good. If you dip this and leave it, you will pick up some color, but if you use a powder brush, you will get even more color. And you can actually use this effect to achieve different looks. You can go from a translucent look to an otherwise very opaque shade. When all the color is applied, I go in and start my cure timer from 0 and fully cure it. You could subtract 10 from the timer because you flash cured it, but I like to lean on the side of caution. The full cure time is whatever the brand of gel you're using says to cure it for. Once it's cured, you can clean up any powder before you apply another layer of gel. The powder will wipe off fairly easily with a pointy tool. The second layer is going to tighten that cuticle line up. The powder underneath will actually suck the gel into it, which means it won't move around as easily. To get it to go over the boundary line, there is a trick. When there's a decent amount of gel in the nail, you can push it to build up a pool in front of the bristles. You can gently and slowly push the pool over the boundary, and I aim for about halfway between the boundary and the cuticle, and then I pull backwards. Once your cuticle lines are tight, you can check your sidewalls. You can even do this technique with your sidewalls if it's not working very well, just swiping down. You're going to be tempted to lay the bristles down flat like this, fan them out, and almost scoop the puddle towards the cuticle. Don't do that. Your bristles need to be mostly off the nail. You're pushing, not scooping. This is so that as soon as you find your line, you can pull back or off quickly. If your bristles are down too far, the separation time is too long, and gel often goes too far towards the cuticle this way. You can do this to cap short nails, and it works with regular dipping liquids too. The layers are so thin, it doesn't make it very bulky, so repeat this process until it's as thick and opaque as you want it. I alternate between close to the cuticle and giving it some space every other layer, so my cuticles don't get too bulky. Now I cannot stress enough how thin these layers will be. They are very thin. If you want more thickness to it, you can easily add that thickness before you do any color at all, called an overlay, or after in a clear capping coat called encapsulating. But it always has to be covered with at least one layer of clear coat to cap it all inside, fill in any divots, and give it some room to file without balding the color underneath. It helps to build it thicker than you want your nail to be in the end and bring the product down with a file later to give a smooth surface and streamlined apex. When it's fully cured, cleanse the surface with a gel cleansing solution to remove the tacky layer. Lightly smooth the edges and the tip with a file, and if I did everything right, I just need a buffer block to mattify the surface of the clear cap. Always wipe off the tacky layer before and after you buff though. Here are some tricky colors people have pointed out to me, and here's the thing. This method makes all of these hard to work with colors the best to work with because the tacky layer loves the chalky texture. Alright, I'm going to show you how to use this method to do the easiest ombre ever. No instructions though. You already learned everything you need to know, and you can use these exact steps with any two color and blend them as far as you want them. Enjoy! Okay, I'm back for the top coat. So assuming your nail is lightly buffed, I dehydrate it with my gel cleanse solution to make sure there is no debris from the dust. I check my cuticles, remove anything from there, and even underneath the nail. So the best way to do this is to apply it just like we did with our second color layer. Tighten the cuticle lines, even the product out, and if you see any of these little bumps or bubbles, it just means you need more product. It's too thin. I like to do a slip layer, cap all my edges. The product's not very thick, so it shouldn't run around. And then I add a small dab of product to the apex and feather it gently downwards. Let it settle for a few seconds, flip it over for a few seconds, and cure. And here's what they look like finished. They're beautiful. Dipping powder gives us access to amazing glitter combinations that can't be achieved with gel polish. But we can't expect to be able to wear all that beauty and not have to work for it a bit. And our wonderful flash curing method isn't as helpful. The glitter will not stick to the tacky layers as well and only picks up a few specks of the glitter at a time. Let's look at a few types of glitters. Big chunkies, dense glitters, oil glitters, and this one is representing the shimmery small glitters. And the best part is I use the same technique for all of these glitters. The chunky ones just need a little bit more cleanup. Shimmers are the easiest, so I'm going to use it first. My first coat, I'm going to do this layer as a flash cure and use the powder brush to apply the pigment. I just want to get some even color on the nail and on the edges especially. And I do go a little tighter to the cuticle line, unlike when I do solid colors. Full cure this and then clean up the cuticle area of any powder before you apply a second base coat. For the second coat, when I apply my base, I'm going to stop before I get to my boundary. I don't want to get any chunks near my cuticle lines. When it's thin, I'm going to sprinkle the powder evenly over the wet gel. And when it's all on, I'm going to actually wait 10 to 15 seconds. And anytime it starts to getting wet, I'm going to reapply the powder. If you dip the glitter, tap the jar on the table. This kind of pushes the glitter to the surface and slowly lower down flat. You want the first thing to touch to be the glitter, not acrylic powder. They will actually look different, and some glitters work better using a brush or if you dip it, so you may have to experiment with this. If there are any bald spots, you can dab a little bit more base gel on it and reapply. Do this before you cure the entire layer though. It works better and doesn't get chunky. With both methods, after you've waited a few seconds, you can gently brush away some excess powder. Too soon or hard and it will smudge though. Now I'm going to double my cure time, and while it's in the light, I'm going to angle my hand in different ways. The goal is to use the glitters to redirect the light throughout the gel. So now we're just going to be repeating these two layers. Doing a clear coat and curing after each thick layer helps fill in the divots of the glitter and adds pigment to the edges. And sometimes if it needs it, my fourth layer, I will try and go tighter to the cuticle. And we finish this off with a layer of base, making sure to cap all the edges. From here it's going to be the same as the solid colors, a light buffing and a top coat, which you will have to wait till the end to see those finished results. Now when we use chunky glitters, we are going to do the same 4 alternating layers, but when we do the second and fourth layer, we might need a bit extra cleanup. You can use a pointy tool to move any bulky glitters away from the edges and use it to flatten any glitters down, and angled tools help really well to smooth out the cuticle edges. Even when it's smoothed out and cured, trying to apply a new layer of base gel over chunky glitter can be difficult. I actually will use extra gel and make a big clump right in the middle and let it flow out a little bit, fill in all the divots, and once it settles down I can spread it out. Then wipe away any excess gel from the bottom and wipe it on a paper towel, or you will get glitter in your bottles. I use these bottles, and if my brush gets really bad with pigment or glitter, I dip it in the wipe-off solution, then wipe it on a paper towel, and now it's fresh and clean. When you're ready to clear cap, don't hesitate to do 2, even 3 layers of the clear, like the encapsulating technique from earlier. But if you do this, you will need to do extra shaping and filing later. And these are all of the glitters ready to be buffed and top coated. Now on to the next technique, the glitter fade. I think there are a lot of ways you can do this, but I'm just going to show you what I think is the easiest one, and it already covers all the stuff we've done in this video so far. The first layer is going to be a flash cure layer, just like when we do an ombre. I'm just going to do half the nail and move side to side rather than up and down. The second layer is what I like to call dip island. Keep the gel away from the cuticles, and there's no reason to bring the gel all the way down to the tip. Just cover what you already dusted in the first coat and stop where you want the fade to stop. It is better to use a brush for this and angle your finger downwards. Start at a sharp tilt. Make use of the brushes. They hold so much, and a light tap can release a little bit, or a hard tap will release a lot. You tap harder at first and then lighter as you tilt more, until you're satisfied with your fade. Clean up the big chunks and lay them flat. You can even drag some of the glitters out, and you can place them deliberately where you want. And 2 coats may give you the coverage that you're looking for, but if you do want more, just repeat layers 1 and 2 again. When doing a clear coat over a glitter fade, start at the tip first, then the top, gently connecting them sideways. The gel will level out in a few seconds and be smooth. Now, using all of these techniques combined, I'm going to show you how to blend two glitters into a full ombre, which can be done with a solid as well as a glitter. I didn't know what to expect with these two choices, but I think you will be pleasantly surprised. Also, I should mention my husband had the back door open and I didn't know. This caused my glitters to blow away from where I was trying to place them, and made this much harder than it needed to be. So just make sure you don't have any breezes in your house when you're tapping your glitters from your brush. And here they are, buffed, top-coated, and looking amazing. And that's it, guys. I want to thank you guys for watching, share these tricks with your friends, and enjoy these beautiful glitters.